bird crap landing on the bike, which is annoying. So let's get that cleaned off. Alright everybody, what is up? As always, thanks for stopping by to another video today. We are here taking a look at my 2022 Harley Davidson Street Bob, and we are getting ready to take this bad boy out on a pretty long road trip here across the state of Pennsylvania. So today we're going to talk about some of the things I do before a long road trip, some of the important stuff that you're going to want to check out and make sure you have prepared, prepped, and ready to go for a long ride. So I'm going to be taking off across the state. This road trip itself is probably going to be a little over 1,000 miles. We're going to head across the state of PA. We might head over into Ohio. We might head up into New York, do some different traveling and stuff like that. So a lot of these tips and things and stuff are things that I'm going to be checking before I take off on the road for a longer road trip. Now, of course, keep in mind, a lot of this can vary depending exactly on where you're going, what type of bike you're riding, and all of that type of stuff. I do ride my bike pretty frequently, so I am in touch with a lot of the stuff that's going on with it at any given time, how it's running, how it's operating. But today we'll take a look at a lot of those tips and tricks that really can kind of apply to any bike and road trip to make sure that you are starting off on the right foot, safe and prepared for what you have going on. And of course, before we get started, go ahead and drop any of your tips for some of your long distance travel prep down there in the comments. If there's anything I missed, make sure you drop that down there. Any tips you guys have for anybody out there taking off on a long road trip on their bikes, make sure you drop it down there in the comments. I'll be curious to see some of those tips and tricks you guys have to prepare for some of your longer road trips out there. Alrighty guys, so we're going to start it off with stuff that you want to bring with you and make sure that you have on your bike on this road trip. So we're going to start with my registration and insurance information for the bike. We're just going to toss it right there into these Viking side saddle bags here. That's something that I have frequently forgotten to take on both of my bikes many times, but now that we have these Viking bags, we can just store it simply right in here. Next up in this side, I also have my Fantic X8 air compressor pump. If we ever have any low tire pressure, anything like that out on the road, this will be able to help us out in getting those tires inflated properly. Now over to the next side, we're going to open up the next bag. This is where we're going to have some of the different tools and stuff that I'll have with me. I like to keep a knife, needle nose, a set of Allens. We got a flashlight in here. We've got some electrical tape for whatever reason we might need, and then we've got a crescent wrench. I like to use a crescent wrench because it's really kind of the most versatile as far as size. We've got all different kind of sizes of bolts and nuts on the bike here, so this I have found to kind of be the most useful. We can just adjust it to wherever we need. We've got some zip ties also down here, and then we've got some tripod action if we're doing any content. So of course, a lot of these tools very simple and basic to help out with any like minor things that could occur. These will probably help you out. If it's anything more advanced than that anyways, I probably wouldn't be able to figure it out myself anyways. So again, this is just some very simple basic stuff that you might need if you're in a pinch and there is something that you can do or tighten up yourself. These items right here will probably help you out. Alrighty, so next thing I want to get into is start to take a look at examining the bike itself. Make sure everything is operating and functioning nice and tight, everything like that. First thing I want to do is start with the electrical stuff up here. Take a look around the front. I'm just going to make sure both lights are working. Give a look at our turn signals. Make sure both turn signals are working. Good there. Good in the back. Turn those off. Let's give a look in the back, make sure our brake lights are working. Okay, front brake, rear brake, make sure our four-ways are working, front and back. Alright, looks good there. We will turn those off, and then we will turn the bike off as well. All the electrical looks good and functioning, so we will take it out on the road in just a minute here after we finish up this part, just to make sure everything's operating and running perfectly. But next up, this is where I want to start to inspect some of the tightness of some of the important components here. This is one that some people will probably take to a little bit higher level of seriousness than me, but what I want to do is I just want to make sure everything is kind of tightened up. I don't find any loose bolts or anything. I like to hold the front brake, just give the handlebars a push and a shove, make sure we're tight there. Just kind of inspect anything that could be coming loose. Make sure we don't have any nuts or bolts backing out here. Our foot pegs, our brake levers, making sure everything is tight. Make sure we don't find anything loose. Casing bolts, anything like that. Again, I'm just going through here, checking these with my hands. Some people may take their torque through, make sure everything is torqued up appropriately, but I'm just kind of checking everything with my hands, making sure that we're not finding anything that is hand loose. Another important one here is I always like to check the exhaust cone. We want to make sure nothing is loose and backing out here. We look good. Making sure our spring's fully engaged with our header pipe to the cone. Again, check out our rear O2 sensor here. Check out some of our header bolts. Everything seems to be tightened up. Again, guys, I'm on this thing all the time. I'm pretty in tune with it, so if anything's going wrong, I'm typically pretty much up to date on that. But again, since this is going to be a longer trip, we're just kind of giving everything a once over to make sure we're all set and good to go. Make sure we got clearance and everything with our tires and any components. Give a look underneath to make sure we don't have any bolts or anything backing out like that. Make sure we don't see any leaks coming through. Give our bags a look through here. Make sure these are tight. Make sure we've got clearance from the tire and fender with the bags. Slide over to this side. We will check the chain a little bit. Make sure we've got tension there. That feels fine and good. And again, we're just checking some casings for any leaks or residue or residual residue or anything like that. All appears to be good there. Again, checking the pegs over on this side, checking the shift arm lever. You don't want this thing flying off when you're going down the road. Everything seems to be tight. Spark plugs are good. Again, no leaks up through here that we're seeing. Check some motor mount bolts. And again, take a look around our oil filter. Make sure we're not leaking out of here anywhere. Next up, I just want to check our clutch adjustment here. I'll give it a pull and tug. They say you should have about a 1/4 inch of free play there, or like a nickel's worth of size. That looks to be about good. Let's check in with our throttle. A little bit of free play. Snapping back. All good there. Alrighty, next up, so we want to then inspect the tires. Obviously very important. That's your only 2 points of contact with the road. These tires have about 8,600 miles on them. You can still see the tread is still pretty good, but we do just want to visually inspect them for any imperfections, cracks, or nails, or anything like that, holes that we might have picked up along the way. So it all looks pretty good from there. Next up, of course, we do want to check the PSI to make sure we are properly inflated. Of course, you can find this on the outer edge of the tire here. It says 41 PSI cold, so we are cold right now. Let's take a look and see where we're at. My feeling is it might be a little low. So we're actually down around 31, so we will take our air compressor. Let's put some air in this thing. Alright, so we should be good now with 40 PSI in the front. We'll throw our cap back on, and then we will take a look at the rear wheel. Alright, so the rear wheel is telling us 42 PSI cold. So let's go ahead and throw this on. We're at 33, so let's go ahead and put the rear up to 42. Alright, so we've got the rear to 42 now. We'll pop this off, put our cap back on, and again, we just want to give a little bit of a visual inspection here of the rear wheel. Tread still looks pretty good. Just make sure we don't have any imperfections here, any cracking, any holes, any nails from what we can see. Alrighty, and then one of the last couple things we want to do here is also make sure we check our oil. Now, I will say I'm about 1,500 miles away from needing an oil change, so this will probably be our last trip on this oil and this fluid. Probably going to have to get this changed when I get back from this trip. Alright, so we'll unscrew it, open it up here, wipe it off. We're going to put it back in and give it a check. Alright, unscrew again, pull it back out, see where we're at. So level looks good. It does look definitely dark. Like I said, it's reaching the end of its life, but the level looks good. Color's a little dark, but like I said, I think we will make it on this trip. We're going to get this changed out. When we get back, we'll have some fresh, nice, clear looking oil in there. It should last us this trip. Alright, one last quick thing we want to do before we take off here is clean up a little bit of bird shit. So you guys probably saw as I'm walking around the bike here, we had some bird crap landing on the bike, which is annoying. So let's get that cleaned off. It even landed on the seat, which is also annoying. We don't want to be taking off on our road trip with bird crap on our fender and seat. And then just a couple other quick touch-up points here. I'll just clean up the tank a little bit. Wipe off the mirrors so we can see. And how about just a quick wipe down of the Memphis Shades fairing. This thing is gonna get blasted with bugs anyways, but we might as well give it a quick wipe down up front. Alright, so the last and final step, we're going to take it out on the road for a quick test spin, make sure everything is operating appropriately, fill it up with gas, and we will be good to go to take off first thing in the morning. Alrighty, so like I said, just wanted to hop out on the bike here for a couple miles. Just make sure everything is operating, functioning, feels normal and fine, and I expect that it is, and it does. Just checking the brakes through town a little bit, obviously just making sure everything's engaging properly, front and back. Making sure the clutch is good, power's hitting normal. Just want to get out and bang for the couple gears. Make sure everything's going good, which it seems to be. Like I said, I ride it quite a bit, fairly in tune with the way it's going to sound and feel and stuff, but that's not to say something couldn't go wrong while you are out on the road or while you even go to pull out the bike the next day, because I actually had that happen to me once. Was out on the bike the day before, just giving it a little ride, making sure everything was good the day before a day trip, and then went out the very next day to leave. It was all packed up, went out to pack it up, start it up, pull out, and the bike wouldn't even turn on. Now, if you guys remember the video I made on that one, that was actually because there was a blown fuse. Must have happened, I don't even know when. I pulled the bike in, took it home, turned it off, everything was fine, went out to start it up the next day, and it wouldn't turn on. So that can happen no matter how prepared you are. Something could always happen. Now the final piece to this to tie it all together, I'm going to stop by the gas station, just top off the tank. I always like to start my travel day with an absolutely full tank no matter where I'm at. You can see right here on the gauge I still have about 3/4 of a tank, but I like to start my travel day totally full so that I can really maximize that first stretch run. Really try to push it with the Street Bob, go like 140, 150 miles, get that first really long stretch out of the way without stopping, and then fill up again. So I'm going to pull over here at the gas station and just fill up. Alrighty, so we are topped off, gassed up, ready to hit the road tomorrow early in the morning. All that's really left to do is pack up the bags, pack up some luggage, strap them to the bike, and take off. So we'll most likely will be filming and documenting some of this road trip that'll be taking place, so you guys will see a couple more videos that come out after this of the actual road trip that takes place. But that is just about all we got for you now on this one. Like I said, let me know, drop it down in the comments, any of your tips and tricks for preparing and prepping your motorcycle for a long distance road trip. Drop it down in the comments and let me know. I'll be curious to see what I left out and what other stuff you guys have out there. But as always, we will end it there. Thanks for tuning in. If you like anything we got going on, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel and like this video. Make it a good one, guys. Ride safe out there. It's the Moto Jawn. We'll see you all on down the road. Peace.